Hey, what's up? My name is Kairo Techne. I'm a rapper, producer, aspiring audio engineer. Still got a lot to learn there though. Based out of the Pacific Northwest, and I'm going to show you my whole process of making a beat, recording demo vocals, how I mix them, and I don't know, maybe if you guys like it, turn it into a full song and I'll show the process of how I do that. Thing I do, open up my DAW. For me, it's FL Studio. And I think today I'm going to be taking a sample beat because I came across this track on TrackLib, which I really, really liked. Yeah, this is it. And I think 100 is going to be a little too fast. This is probably going to be a little more boom bappy, but on the faster side. So let's go maybe like 94. See how that sounds. Right there. I'm just going to go ahead and set it at one beat. So. Hi, baby. What's up? Huh? Now that usually maybe we throw a roll on that last one. A little bit of variation. This guy too. Okay, I like that more. was thinking something kind of like this for guitar. Octave. Kind of like that one. Go to tone vault. There's some basses I really like in here. Thinking maybe like the slap bass. Cool, so now that the beat's been made, I'll show you how I record vocals. And I'll just do them on this mic right here. Although, it was before I got this cool red windscreen. Vocals, take 1, celebrate my losses. Yeah. Hey. It's Kairo Techne. I'm gonna celebrate my losses until there's nothing left to lose. I sat at tables next to bosses. The next day I had dinner with the fools. Early morning up and moving. I just gotta get my grooving. I bet they going what they doing. They don't see the man, only see what I'm producing. Keep your 2 cents, keep my 10 cents. Drop the pretense, it's a defense, you too dense. This sequence of events I've been against. Shit is an offense to everyone with common sense. Stupidity immense. Got my muscles getting tense. And I don't like the trends where you're sitting on a fence. Alright, so there we go. I was just out here trying to vibe. Dirty motherfuckers fucked up my state of mind. I don't wanna slide, but the 9 by my side. Y'all be strapped up, but I don't think you're down to ride. I was just out here trying to vibe. Dirty motherfuckers fucked up my state of mind. I don't wanna slide, but the 9 by my side. Alright, now that vocals are recorded, I'm gonna take you through the vocal mixing process. Alright, so now that we got all the breaths chopped out of here, I'll go ahead and start on the vocal chain. So on the main verse box, I'll throw on auto-tune, 10 respeed, in the key, A minor, 40 flex tune, which is my natural tone of voice, and then humanize, which makes it sound less robotic. I always turn that to 100 because I'm not T-Pain. And then this Shep's Omni channel is just a little bit of saturation. Those two on, the vocal would sound like is... I'm gonna celebrate my losses until there's nothing left to lose. I sat at tables next to bosses. The next day I had dinner with the fools. So then I'll show you what I have in my actual vocal bus here. So first, this NS1 noise suppression, just to eliminate any sort of background noise that might get picked up. This is what I've set my pre-compression Pro Q4 settings to. So it's almost all either dynamic or spectral, and it's gonna kind of hollow out the vocal a little bit. I'm gonna celebrate my losses, but it's also taming harshness. I sat at tables next to bosses. The next day I had dinner with the fools. Early morning up and moving. The LA 2A by Waves. And this compressor is just strictly for leveling. I'm gonna celebrate my losses until there's nothing left to lose. My next one is a CLA 76. And this is gonna add a little punchiness. I'm gonna celebrate my losses until there's nothing left to lose. I sat at tables. But you hear those S's starting to get harsh in there, so I throw in a de-esser as my next move. I'm gonna celebrate my losses until there's nothing left to lose. I sat at tables next to bosses. And it's working hard. The next day I had dinner with the fools. So then I'll throw on the production ready preset on Pro Q4. I'm gonna celebrate my losses. And then I'll add in another 76 at almost the same settings, just for a little more punch. I like to do them piece by piece in between EQs. I'm gonna celebrate my losses. Throw on our de-esser, and this one at the top end. I'm gonna celebrate my losses until there's nothing left to lose. And then I'll come through with the articulated rhymes Pro Q4. It's because I've already got some compression on there. You know, keep it nice and clear. I'm gonna celebrate my losses until there's nothing left to lose. I sat at tables next to bosses. Final de-esser here. Same as the first one, or just about, to reverb and delay from this main vocal bus. But first we'll focus on the vocal effects. what I have on my vocal effects. First, fresh air, just a little bit. I'm gonna celebrate my losses until there's nothing left to lose. I sat at tables next to bosses. The next day I had dinner with the fools. Followed by Magma BB tubes. Set 3 beauty, 1 beast. And that's just gonna add some nice saturation harmonics. I'm gonna celebrate my losses until there's nothing left to lose. I sat at tables next to bosses. The next day I had dinner with the fools. And then I add in a Valhalla delay. 20 milliseconds, 16, 17%. Yeah, usually somewhere between 10 and 20. Rarely all the way at 20 though. I'll put the spread at 20 milliseconds, cut the low end and the high end. I usually keep it standard here. And rich pitch is my favorite for this because it's really just widening the vocals without. I'm gonna celebrate my losses and with until there's nothing left to lose. I sat at tables next to bosses. Here's where we'll go ahead and add in the reverb. So I like Valhalla Vintage Verb for vocals. I tend to do plate. And I put this at 100 and then I'll adjust the fader of it. You know, this is going to be standard at 1.5 and usually around 300 hertz, which I find way too much bass. It gets really muddy on a vocal. So I bump it up to about 800, and I might even bring this down to like 1.1 for the bass multiplier. I cut anything below 300 to 400 depending on the track, and then I high cut above 9,000. I like the sound of the 1980s. That's really personal preference. And I tend to remove the pre-delay and that attack, at least on vocals. Then I'll use a fruity limiter to sidechain it so that it's ducking the reverb as the vocal hits. Sounds like this. I'm gonna celebrate my losses until there's nothing left to lose. I sat at tables next to bosses. The next day I had dinner with the fools. And I might have to actually manually decrease a couple of these S sounds because they're still coming in pretty hot. Do basically the same thing with delay as I do with reverb. Have a limiter on, sidechain, H delay, 1/8, ping pong, same time. High pass around 260, low pass at 4.4, and that'll just add more space along with the reverb. So, I'm gonna celebrate my losses until there's nothing left to lose. I sat at tables next to bosses. The next day I had dinner with the fools. Early morning up and moving. I just gotta get my groove in. I've been ignoring what they doing. Cause they don't see the man, only see what I'm producing. Then I have a full Vox bus. I have sent over here another production ready vocal, soft clipper at the end. Any transients hitting a little bit too high, eliminate those. I'm gonna celebrate my losses until there's nothing left to lose. I sat at tables next to bosses. The next day I had dinner with the fools. I like to go into a tape, and that just adds just a little bit more, I don't know, flavor. I'm gonna celebrate my losses. I will sidechain this full vocal bus, which has reverb, delay, and any backing going to it as well, to the beat here. F6, which is a dynamic EQ. So I'll just adjust, the main frequencies where my vocals sit to kind of duck them in the beat as it hits. And I feel like that makes it sit better in the mix. So you can see what I mean. I'm gonna celebrate my losses. Oh, I gotta turn it on. Until there's nothing left to lose. I sat at tables next to bosses. The next day I had dinner with the fools. Early morning up and moving. And then on my pre-master, which I like to do so I can keep my master clean for, if I'm using the VSX plugin, maybe like a U-lean to check LUFS, anything like that. Granted, this is not a full mix. I'll take every track of the beat, export those stems as well as all the vocals, and mix those together separately. For a demo, this is how I do it. On my pre-master, I start with a SSL compressor on the Chicky Subtle Glue presetting, Subgroup Sorcery Pro Q4 preset, just a little bit more fresh air, and then the Maserati GRP Stereo master setting, and I've adjusted all of these to how I like how they sound, and this is what it comes out sounding like. I'm gonna celebrate my losses until there's nothing left to lose. I sat at tables next to bosses. The next day I had dinner with the fools. Early morning up and moving. I just gotta get my groove in. I've been ignoring what they doing, 'cause they don't see the man, only see what I'm producing. Keep your 2 cents, here's my 10 cents. Drop the pretense as a defense, you're too dense. This sequence of events I've been against. Shit is an offense to everyone with common sense. Pretty much the same thing going on my hook recording here, but I also throw in a vocal doubler just to make it sound a little bit wider for the hook. But it goes to the same vocal bus, the same effects channel, all that. And then I like to do 2 dubs for the hook, 1 dub for verses. I was just out here trying to vibe. You dirty motherfuckers fucked up my state of mind. I don't wanna slide, but the 9 by my side. Y'all be strapped up, but I don't think you're down to ride. I was just out here trying to vibe. You dirty motherfuckers fucked up my state of mind. I don't wanna slide, but the 9 by my side. And then let me show you what I do here for the dubs. You know, if it was final, I'd probably record the dubs entirely, but for something like this, a demo, usually I'll do something like this. Move it down to the dub section, just slightly offset it, and then I figure out where it is that I want that dub coming in, and I just kind of want to emphasize. Alright, so now I've got my dub cut out where I want them on the verse, and then I've got dubs put in for the entirety of the hook. Now what I'm going to do with my dubs here, I'll swap them to Stretch Pro, and then bring the format down like 100 cents, and same with the pitch. My verse dubs, I keep it turned down and panned. The auto-tune on this is going to be stronger than on the main, and then it should be coming here to my background slash dub Vox bus. Here I've got NS1 at about 40. Pro Q4 with a low pass, lo-fi, CLA 2A, CLA 76, and then straight to the vocal FX. So, if everything's set up right, it should sound like this. I'm gonna celebrate my losses until there's nothing left to lose. I sat at tables next to bosses. The next day I had dinner with the fools. Early morning up and moving. I just gotta get my groove in. I've been ignoring what they doing, 'cause they don't see the man, only see what I'm producing. Keep your 2 cents, here's my 10 cents. Drop the pretense as a defense, you're too dense. This sequence of events I've been against. Shit is an offense to everyone with common sense. Stupidity immense, it's got my muscles getting tense. And I don't like the trends, where you're sitting on the fence. Now, I think I may have recorded this a little bit too strong still, so I'm going to turn this down a bit more. I'm going to celebrate my losses until there's nothing left to lose. I sat at tables next to bosses. The next day I had dinner with the fools. Now this S right here is bugging me. It's too harsh. I'm going to bring that down. And I think this one is too. I'm just going to bring down all those S's. Yeah, so I'll just manually bring down these so my de-esser isn't pushing so hard. Now what I'll do with my hook dubs, I'll do the same formant shifter, pitch shift. On the other one, I'll go up 100 cents each way, 1 semitone, and they'll be set 0 retune speed, 0 humanize, but turned down pretty low so they sit further in the background. Stupidity immense, it's got my muscles getting tense. And I don't like the trends, where you're sitting on a fence. I was just out here trying to vibe. You dirty motherfuckers fucked up my state of mind. I don't wanna slide, but the 9 by my side. Y'all be strapped up, but I don't think you're down to ride. I was just out here trying to vibe. You dirty motherfuckers fucked up my state of mind. I don't wanna slide, but the 9 by my side. Alright, well, that's the demo of it. I could turn it into a full song, I guess, but I don't know. It was written pretty quickly, but if you guys like it, let me know, and I'll turn it into a full song. Thanks for watching, and be on the lookout. I have a mixtape I'm working on right now called the Childish Mixtape. If you liked this, you'll probably like the other stuff I've been working on. I'm excited about it. I hope you will be too. Alright, thanks for sitting through all this. I know it was a lot.